Hello, ma'am. How are you doing?
I'm very good, Rishav. How are you?
Yeah, ma'am. I'm also doing fantastic. So, ma'am, like, can you little bit like introduce yourself to our audience that what you do and like where are you from?
Sure. Thank you once again for having me on your show today. So, I'm an interview and people skills coach. I'm also a certified image consultant. I'm an NLP coach, which is neuro linguistic programming. I'm also a certified actor coach, which means I have an advanced certification in training and facilitation. And I'm a founder of Success Talks, which is a coaching academy. And this coaching academy is based out of Singapore, which is where I stay right now. I'm originally from India, but I've been in Singapore for 15 years now. So basically, this coaching academy was founded in 2017 because I wanted to help people, especially who wanted to become cabin crew. But currently, we are helping individuals globally. We have students from all over the world: Egypt, UK, US, Taiwan, China, India, Malaysia, Singapore, and we help them to get hired for their dream job by focusing on every single aspect of the interview preparation. So we focus on CV, we focus on networking, we focus on grooming, we focus on communications, we focus on how to be more confident, and of course, how to have clarity and how to set goals for yourself. So I used to be a cabin crew with Singapore Airlines. And I used to be a trainer with them as well. I did that for 10 years, and now I got an opportunity in 2017 to start my own company. So currently, we have a huge social media following. We have about 50,000 people who follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So that's where people can connect with us. We do make a lot of videos on a regular basis, and very importantly, I think what's the most important motivation for me is when people message me to tell me that they've gotten selected, because I think till date we have over 500 people who've gotten selected for their dream job as cabin crew or even customer service executives in a lot of leading airlines and other industries as well.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Like you gave a very like lovely introduction about yourself. So, ma'am, like today's our topic will be all about interview because a lot of people when they really go for interviews, say don't know that what to do in interview, how to like handle stress and pressure. So, ma'am, my first question is that okay, like what is like how can we prepare for going to the interview? Okay, like how can we prepare ourselves before we are going to the interview?
Okay, that's a very good question and a very important question as well. First and foremost, I think I will divide this in three parts. So the first preparation is what you do before you go for the interview. Okay. So when you go for the interviews, it's very important that you do your research, because a lot of times, we don't even change our CV when we go to different jobs. We take the same CV and we go for any interview that we are applying for. So it's really important to curate your CV in such a way that it matches the job description. So the kind of skills that are needed in that particular job, your personal summary should be in accordance to the values of the organizations and things like that. And the other thing that most people don't do right is practice. Now, practice is really, really important. However, if you keep doing the same thing wrong again and again, right, you will always end up with the wrong results. So it's important that you practice in the right direction with the right feedback. So, for example, a lot of times people practice in front of a mirror, right?
Exactly.
When we go for the interview, we stand in front of the mirror and we practice, right? But I actually don't think you should practice in front of a mirror. I always tell my students it's not a good strategy. Do you practice in front of a mirror if you have to go for an interview, Risha?
No, I haven't went for the interview till now because right now I'm a student, so I
Okay.
haven't. But before, when I was practicing for English, because my English was not so appropriate, so I used to like a lot of people told me that you can practice in front of mirror. So I have also done that thing.
Okay, so don't do that because that is not an effective way. I will teach you what is the right way. If you want to practice something, you should either record it, like do a voice recording, or you should make a video recording. The reason is because when you look at yourself again, then you'll be able to identify what mistakes are you making. Because if you practice in front of a mirror, the mirror is not going to tell you that you're making the mistake, right? So when you record yourself and you watch it back again or you listen to it again, that's when you understand what is the mistake that you're making, and that's how you'll be able to correct it. Okay? So that's why when it comes to preparation, the importance is to prepare it the right way. Now, the second thing is when you're in the interview itself, right? A lot of times when we prepare ourselves, but when we go to that interview room, we suddenly feel very nervous, right? Now, it's really important that we deal with our fears the right way. So, for example, a lot of people will tell you, don't be nervous,
Mm,
right? Okay.
exactly.
But I tell my students that please be nervous, okay? I always tell my students it's really important to be nervous. Reason is because if you're not going to be nervous, you're going to be overconfident. It's important to be nervous, but at the same time, it's important to know how to deal with the nervousness. You cannot tell yourself that don't be nervous and suddenly you will not be nervous. You have to learn the right way to deal with that stress, and that's what I'll share with you later when we talk about how to deal with stress in general. But that's really
Exactly.
important, okay? And lastly, yes, you might have prepared to the best of your ability and you might have done everything right, but there is still a high possibility that you might not get selected. Okay? So, what's really important is instead of focusing on the negative, focus on what you could have done better. So, when you come back home, take some time out to reflect as to what can be an area of opportunity when you get to go to that interview again and work on those areas of opportunity. So I believe this should be the strategy when it comes to preparing yourself for any interview.
Okay, fine, fine. Like you explained, very like good point, very powerful point. Okay, you emphasize, and your point was very different because whenever I talk to people or whenever I watch videos, so they say something different, and you have emphasized the point. Okay, and something different. Okay, according to your experience. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving the answer of this question. So, ma'am, my second question, okay, and most popular question, like those people go in the interview, so they definitely ask this question that how to overcome with stress or how to overcome with pressure of the interview or how to deal with this kind of stress and pressure while going to the interview.
Okay, very good question. So I'm going to share with you actually five things, and there is a video that I have made on my YouTube channel also, where I've talked about these five things. Five things. You and your audience can go ahead and watch that because I've explained a lot of information there. Okay, so uh, the first thing, of course, is the preparation. So if you're prepared in the correct way, then you will be more confident. What do I mean by that? So, for example, right, you can never prepare for all the interview questions out there. You cannot do that. Nobody can ever know all the interview questions because even the interviewer doesn't know sometimes what questions they're going to ask you. The questions are based on your CV, based on the conversation, based on the answers, right? So, what's really important is to learn the techniques. There are a lot of techniques to answer questions. So, it's not the answer. A lot of times people Google answers. That's not the right way. You should Google the techniques. And in fact, you will not find the techniques because that is something that we generally coach and mentor people on. But that is what you should focus on. Focus on the techniques and not answers because if you know the techniques, the answers will come automatically. Okay? The second thing is believing in yourself. Okay? There's a reason why your CV was selected in the first place to go for that job interview. So it's really important to believe in yourself. If you've made it all the way to the interview room, then don't give up so easily. I think it's important to keep believing in yourself and just telling yourself that you can do it. Okay. The third thing, which I feel is very, very important, is comparison. Okay. Again, something that you will probably hear very differently because a lot of people will tell you when you go to the interview room, don't compare yourself to other people, right? Okay. But I tell my students that you should compare yourself to other people. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Okay. Because when you compare yourself to other people, there is a chance to learn as to what someone else is doing better than you. Okay. A lot of times when we are comparing to self evaluate. What is it that the other person is doing that's better, which is good. This is an area of opportunity to learn. If, for example, you and I are in an interview room and you are looking better than me, then it's an area of opportunity for me to understand what is it that you did today that makes you look better because I should maybe learn that from you, right? So I feel it's really important to compare yourself, but not to self evaluate, but to self enhance. Okay. Then the fourth point is about positivity. Okay. Now, a lot of times people will tell themselves that I'm very positive, I'm very confident. Okay. But if I ask you a question today, the first thing you will say, probably if you've never heard that question, is, I don't know how to do this. I've never heard of this before. I don't know how to answer that question, right? Now, what people don't understand is when you say the negative words, it has a
Mm.
huge impact on your subconscious. So when you tell yourself, I don't know how to do this, next time when someone were to ask you a question, your subconscious will tell you, hey, didn't you tell me last time that you don't know how to do this? So even if you know how to do this, your subconscious is going to probably kick in and tell you, maybe you
Uh,
don't know how to do this. Okay.
mm.
So avoid negative words. And this is something that, I mean, if you speak to any of my students who join my coaching classes, that's the
Mm.
first lesson that I teach them, that in my class, they're not allowed to use the words I don't know. I don't know, I cannot do this is
Uh,
forbidden in my class. Nobody is allowed to use those words. So even if you don't know, just tell me whatever you know. Even if you can't do it, just tell me whatever you can do. Okay?
mm.
So that's how I teach my students. And last but not the least, I think it's really important that people should focus on their unique abilities, their personalities, because a
Mm.
lot of times, so just to ask you a quick question, are you how young are you? How old are you? Or how young are you?
Yeah, my age is 17.
17, right?
Like,
You're still
yeah,
studying, correct?
yeah,
So you have
17.
no work experience, right?
No, I don't have experience. But like I have podcasted with a lot of people, and I have my own community where I take interview, like
Very
short
good.
interviews for people, and I bring them to my group. Like I have my group, so in that I add a lot of people, those who are doing job or something, those who are in MNCs or IT sector. So I just interview them and I bring them to my group where they can practice their communication skills and where they can improve their soft skills.
Very good, very good. So that's very good. Okay, so even if you don't have work experience, you are leveraging on all this kind of experience, right? So that's the last thing that I wanted to say. It's really important to leverage on whatever that you're doing. It doesn't matter. It could be an internship, it could be volunteering work, it could be something that you're doing on your own. It's not always about work experience. It's just about experience, and that's really important.
Right.
Okay. So what does your community do? What do you teach them?
Yeah, like what happened like 1 year ago, I made a group. Like my communication skills was not so good. I was not so confident. My English was not so good. So I thought to like I was practicing my English in some of the applications. So I was feeling a lot of problem like network issues and a lot of good people was not there. So I thought that let us create a community. So I created a WhatsApp group, and in which I started adding people, those who have good mindset, those who really want to improve themselves. Then I started adding people, and now right now I have like almost 6 to 7 groups. Okay, and in most of the people, the group is active and everything is going on, and by which the members interact to each other. Like they make
Okay.
each other phone call, though they make meetings and all. Now everything is going good, and from that also I came come to learn by talking to a lot of people.
Okay. Very nice. Very good. Good job.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And you explain the things very well. Okay, that how to handle stress and how to handle pressure while going to the interview. Okay, and you explain the things in a different way because usually I get to hear the things in a different way. Okay, but your explanation was quite different, and it was 100% practical and clear. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, like my fourth question, like my third question is all about what are the mistakes people usually make, okay, in the interview or while going to the interview, because a lot of people commit a lot of mistakes, okay, and nobody is there to guide them at that time that what mistakes they are doing. So, ma'am, can you emphasize some of the mistakes the people usually make while going to the interview or while they are in the interview?
I think that there's just one big mistake that everyone makes, and to overcome that, there are a lot of different things that you need to do. Because of this one mistake, they make a lot of different mistakes, but we're just going to focus on this one big mistake, because if they rectify this mistake, then they can actually take care of all the other mistakes. I personally feel that. So one of the biggest mistakes I feel that a lot of people do is that they treat an interview as a question answer session. Okay. For me, an interview is a conversation. If you're going to an interview, it's not because an interviewer wants to ask you a couple of questions. The interviewer wants to have a conversation with you. The interviewer wants to understand what you're doing, what's your work experience, what can you do for the company, what are your skills. And obviously, to do that, they have to ask you questions, right? But that does not mean it has to be a question answer session. That does not mean that you cannot build rapport with your interviewers. So there are a lot of ways you can build rapport with your interviewers using your verbals, your non-verbals, and that is what we teach in our classes. So our coaching classes are designed in such a way that we cover on every single aspect. And communications is a huge aspect of the interview preparation. So we focus on every single little thing, how to use your hands to build rapport, how to leverage on your smile. And when I say how to leverage on your smile, I just don't tell you, okay, you should smile. I actually teach you the right techniques as to how you should smile in your interview. And usually to just talk about smile, we take about an hour. So our coaching is that intensive when it comes to communications and stuff like that. So, anyways, going back to what I was just saying, that's the biggest mistake I feel everyone makes when it comes to interviews. It's not a question answer session; it's a conversation. So, don't treat your interviewers as someone who's sitting there just to judge me. It is their job to judge you because if they don't judge you, then they cannot find out who's better than the other. But at the same time, it's your responsibility to make them select you. It's not their responsibility. They're not sitting there because they want to select you. It's your responsibility to go to that interview room and do everything that you should to give them an opportunity to select you. Because at the end of the day, they are sitting there to select someone. They
Correct.
are going to hire someone that day
Uh,
because that is the reason they've come up with a job opportunity. Okay,
exactly.
so that's the biggest mistake I feel people make. They they don't think like an interviewer. They think like an interviewee. The day you start thinking like an interviewer, trust me, you'll be able to do so much better. And that's what I teach in my coaching classes because, as I said, our coaching classes are very extensive. So that's how we change mindsets. That's how we work with different techniques. How you can actually answer any question. We work with your CV to match it to the description of the job. We teach you step by step as to how you should actually, even CV. CV is such an important thing. Building rapport with your CV is so important. What makes your CV stand out from someone else? What makes your answer stand out from someone else? So these are all small little things, but it starts with this big step, which is it's a conversation and not a Q&A session.
Okay. Okay, fine, ma'am. Like you emphasize the mistakes, okay, what the people usually make. Okay, like what the people usually think and what the people usually make while going to the interview. So, ma'am, like I have one last question. Okay, like as we are at the end of our podcast, so one last question and very powerful question. This question, like I ask with every guest whomever I bring in my show. So, ma'am, my question is that, like, what is a piece of advice you would like to give to the people who are going to the interview, or to the young people, or for the cabin crews? Like, what is a piece of advice for all the people, those who are listening us right now? Like, most of the people right now would be listening us who want to go to the interview or who are already in the phase of interview. So can you give your piece of suggestion for them?
Yes, sure. So one of the most important suggestions that I give to everyone, actually, I want to give two pieces of advice. So first one will be that you don't learn by sitting at home. You learn by going to the interviews and failing the interviews. Okay. So a lot of times people just keep sitting at home and keep preparing for days or months or years, right? Even when it comes to our coaching sessions, when our students join our coaching sessions, we actually don't stop them from going for interviews. We tell them that even if you are in the coaching session, it's okay. Go for any interview that you think is relevant for the skills or the experience that you would want to have, because that is where you actually learn. That is an on job training for you. Okay. Because that's when you realize that you made a mistake. So you can come back and share with us your experience and we can tell you how you can make it better. Right. So that's the first thing. The second advice that I want to give for everyone is very relevant to today's time and age because currently the entire world is going through a pandemic. And of course, a lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people are waiting for job opportunities. But for all those people who've lost jobs and for people who are waiting for job opportunities, you can create job opportunities. In fact, I'll share this with you. 2020, most people were losing jobs and most people were waiting for jobs. But all of our students actually got a new job in 2020.
Okay.
Okay. And they all are working right now. The reason is because we taught them how to make connections. We taught them how to be on LinkedIn, how to build professional networking. We taught them how to reach out to people with your CV. We taught them how to go for interviews, how to go for virtual interviews, how to create opportunities for yourself. So at this point in time, even if you're waiting for your dream job to open up, say, for example, aviation, right? I don't think hiring will happen anytime soon. So even if you're waiting for your dream job to open up, don't waste your time by just sitting at home. Go for interviews. If you get an opportunity, prepare yourself. And, I can share with you later as to how people can attend our free webinars. If you want to share with your community, I think that'll be really good for them. We conduct these free webinars almost every week, and you can invite your community to join our free webinars if you would like that. Uh, all the details are on the website.